Germany and South Africa's bilateral relations are again in the spotlight as our two nations look to strengthen political, economic and social ties. Officials say ongoing cooperation in areas like trade, climate policy and skills development remains central to both countries' priorities, and renewed talks are expected to shape the next phase of our partnership. Let's welcome to our Oak studio German Ambassador to South Africa, Andreas Peschke. Goeiemorgen, baie welkom.
Goeiemorgen, dankie. Ek is blij om hier te wees.
And I love it. And Andreas, Ambassador, pardon me. I mean, I am so... I did that on purpose because...
Andreas is fine.
Are you sure? Okay, well then I'm pleased to have you with us. So we look at your social media and you seem like someone who really loves South Africa. You've immersed yourself in the culture, judging by the fact that we can have this conversation in our own vernacular. Why do you love South Africa so much? It seems like you do.
Well, look, obviously South Africa is a beautiful country. Most of all, very warm-hearted and welcoming people. So I really enjoy being here, communicating with them. And what I really love about South Africa is the diversity as well. Diversity in every respect and also linguistic diversity. And I noticed that whenever you try to kind of pick up a little bit and speak a little bit in the various languages, it opens hearts and entire new channels of communication. So that's wonderful. And that's why Ketabile.
Well, wonderful that you make the effort to speak the language, and you know they often say, I mean, when you speak someone's language, you connect with them in a way that is deeper than if you don't. And I just want to share one of our tweets from one of our viewers who really loves watching the show, saying, "I'm looking forward to your conversation with Ambassador, the German ambassador. I love his passion for South Africa and his funny social media posts. He must be made an honorary citizen." So I just wanted to share that with you this morning.
Thank you.
Let's move then into the business of things. I mean, if you consider Germany's relationship with South Africa, we have a bilateral commission on our both countries' bilateral trade. I think it stretches back, this year would be probably 29 years by now. And we are, according to your own country, one of the most important countries to deal with on the African continent, in sub-Saharan Africa. What do you think secures South Africa's place when it comes to Germany, both politically and economically?
Well, listen, I mean, that's also actually one of the good things to work here as an ambassador. So Germany and South Africa are strategic partners. So for us, South Africa is one of it's the most important partner on the African continent. It's the biggest economy, it's the highly industrialized, the most industrialized economy on the continent. So starting with business and economic ties, our relationship is very strong. We have 600 German companies being active in South Africa, which is by far the highest number in any country on the African continent. So they are organized in our Chamber of Commerce, South African-German Chamber of Commerce. You have all the big names of German business, so like Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Siemens, Volkswagen, all of them are here, Bosch is here. So that's good, and it creates a bond. It's about business, obviously, but it's also about, creating jobs. So there are 100,000 jobs directly at these companies, and maybe double the figure indirectly if you count all the suppliers and stuff. So that's quite important. But then it's not only about South African German companies in South Africa, but we also have South African companies that invested in Germany. So it's a two-way street. So we have Aspen, we have Sasol, and others who have invested in Germany. So it's a two-way street. And that creates obviously a very strong base for our economies, for our countries to interact. But obviously it's not only about business. I mean, we have a vibrant political relationship, regular consultations. So the Chancellor met your president this year twice. They had a very good conversation in the margins of the G20 summit. We are looking forward to having our binational commission, you mentioned it, between our countries, which covers a broad area of relationship. So that's also very important for us to have that political dialogue also on how we see the world and how we want to strengthen multilateral institutions.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, and this is a part I enjoy very much as an ambassador, there's the people to people. So we have very intensive ties between communities and between individuals, between groups, between cultural ensembles. So we have 3 big German schools in South Africa, one here in Joburg, one in Pretoria, Tswane, another one in Cape Town, and each of them with over 1,000 learners each. So that's big schools. And obviously that creates South African students, German students learning together and being shaped to be future leaders together. So that's important.
I think, again, reflecting on the strength of the ties and the rooting of the ties between our 2 countries, as you say, not only in schools and in culture, in business as well. You talked about the last time Chancellor Merz was here, which would have been for the G20 as well. We were all there. When you think about this picture that you're painting, the reality of your lived experience in our country, and what Merz said recently, what the Chancellor said recently was regrettable. This is Trump's exclusion of South Africa on the G20. You talked about multilateralism. You know well his narrative about a white genocide, the horrific human rights abuses in South Africa. When Merz said about a week ago that he would try to persuade Donald Trump to change his mind on South Africa, does that include challenging these sorts of claims that Trump makes about our country?
Well, there's two issues. One is about the composition of the G20. We are discussing that, and the other one is about the situation in the country. About the G20, I would say, our Chancellor came out loud and clear that we think that South Africa is an important actor at important international fora like the G20. We think South Africa needs to be at the table, and we're going to take it up with the incoming presidency. This is about South Africa because I think it ran a very successful G20 presidency this year. But it actually goes beyond South Africa because, South Africa is the only African representative around the table. And we are talking about a continent of 1.5 billion people and the tendency growing very fast. So this continent obviously needs to be represented at such an important international forum. So that's number one. Number two, about the situation in South Africa. Well, obviously, South Africa, like any other country in the world, like my own, has problems. I mean, we talk about social inequality, we talk about unemployment, we talk about security issues. We all followed the murder of Marius van der Merwe 2 days ago. So there are issues which we need to follow up, but on that one that is raised by some in America, let me just give you an example. Recently, I attended the German Oktoberfest in Pretoria. So we had in 2 days 15,000 people, so lots of German and South African from all walks of life, all groups of the population. So they were having 2 days of a very good time. I saw lots of fun, lots of Eisbein, lots of beer, but no repression and persecution. So probably that is not the problem we are talking about, and actually our take would be I'm not a South African politician. I'm here as a diplomat, but our take would be that as partners we should try and tackle those problems that exist, like unemployment, like creating jobs, rather than talking about problems that are non-existent.
Right. Then the reason I asked the question in that way, Ambassador, is because we've seen Trump's behaviour so disparaging against other African leaders, irritation at how long they might be taking to give him their credentials and so on, that almost in a sense, if he perceives a message coming from his equals, in inverted commas, that there is no genocide in this country, no racial persecution, that he, might be persuaded to listen with different ears. And that's the direct question I'm asking based on the experience that you've said. We're a country that celebrates diversity. Yes, we have our problems, and we'll get to those and how it affects investor appetite in just a moment. That if that's communicated by Chancellor Friedrich Merz, that there might be a different way that Trump listens.
Well, we obviously, I'm not talking about, conversations we have with other partners, but we're having conversations. We are talking about the issues. And we are exchanging our views, and in these conversations with other partners, obviously we might make clear how we see the situation in this country, and what we think might be a good way to engage with this country. So this is an open conversation. I'm not sharing the details of it with you, but obviously we are taking it up. That is clear.
And it's great because, our president has said, South Africa is not going to lobby other countries. I think we've taken a very clear diplomatic stance in how we're going to deal with that. I want to come back to some of the other perceptions from a trade and investment perspective. We already talked about the binational commission. We talked about the opportunities and the investments in both of our countries. Let's perhaps just talk a little bit more about the African Trade and Investment Development Compact. It's not only for South Africa, but it's also continent-wide. Why is it so important to really take seriously the investment opportunities that the continent, but also South Africa, specifically poses? And what are the unique things that make investment here just completely sensible?
Well, if you want to make a relationship grow, I think one important way to make it grow is actually via business and investment. So we all know that if you have investment, that's a good way to create new jobs, to create new opportunities for people. So that's why we focus on that. And obviously, the African continent in general, South Africa in particular, is an opportunity because of a very young population. So there's an immense future potential. So we focus on that. And we're actually not only doing it on a bilateral level. We are also, Germany is the biggest member of the European Union as well. So we are also pushing it on EU-South Africa level. To create new investment opportunities. Actually on this one, this year has been challenging.
Yeah.
You were talking about headwinds for South Africa on the international front. I don't know whether you have followed, there are also headwinds towards Europe. There are some...
Question the longevity of the, the EU.
Some tech and space billionaires calling for the dissolution of the EU.
Yeah, I saw Elon Musk's.
So, well, I'm not mentioning names, but calling for the dissolution of the EU. So, how do you relate to these things? The EU for Germany, for the European Union, this is our DNA. You talk about no DNA, just RSA. So, DNA is integration is our DNA in Europe. So, but we made good progress on the EU-South Africa relationship this year. So we had 2 visits by our European presidents to South Africa, one in March and the other one in the margins of for the G20 summit. Then President Ramaphosa went to Brussels, took part at the Global Gateway Investment Forum. And on that one, actually, we managed to sign off or to sign a new type of agreement, a clean trade and investment partnership, harnessed to boost South African investment in Europe and European investment in South Africa.
Because it's got to be a two-way street, right?
It's a two-way street. And it is about, creating creating a favorable environment for investment conditions for our companies, and gives us a mechanism to tackle issues that may be, and to incentivize investment both in Europe and in South Africa, and to further strengthen our partnership, particularly in areas which are important to our future. you know, a cleaner future, modern energy supply, a secure energy supply. So these are the things we would like to focus on.
Yeah.
And that's where we are. And from the European side, I mean, we supported this partnership with an investment package combined, EU and member states, including Germany, of 12-point-something billion euro. That's actually a significant amount of money. And so we see a potential, and actually we want to really realize this potential, both Germany, South Africa, and EU, South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, already I think there's a 37 million euro equity investment through the Africa Trade and Investment Development Compact for South Africa specifically, 400 million euro, I think, overall in terms of trade and investment. So everything that I'm hearing, you know, from somebody who is an Afrophile, a South Afrophile, I must say, and just adapt that. You love South Africa, you immerse yourself in the culture, all of these endeavors that the German government is making to really root itself in the community. You've got your investments here. Talk to us about the future. I mean, what else is just across the horizon? We've got this historic and legacy, you know, partnership. What do you think is coming next? And also just to reaffirm that German businesses are here to stay.
Well, the future, I think we have to work hard for the future. It's not a given. I mean, all our countries, both our countries face immense problems. The international situation is not easy. We have probably more conflicts and wars on the international scene than ever before. If you think about Russia's war against Ukraine, the situation in the Middle East, conflicts on the African continent. But I think, I mean, I see the future for our countries in even ever closer cooperation, because in times like this, where the challenges are big as they are, I think countries like South Africa and Germany, who stand for international rules, who stand for a just and fair international system, who stand for a reform of international institutions and the United Nations, I think they need to come closer together and cooperate in these international fora. So I think we would, from our side, and I get similar signals from the South African side, we would try to merge into even closer cooperation. And that means, of course, strengthening also the bilateral ties in the business. But as I've said, also in culture and people to people. I mean, currently we have 3 South African choirs touring Germany with immense success. I mean, people in Germany, you know, it's Christmas time in Germany, Christmas markets, and then these African ensembles come around, bring this wonderful African vibe to Germany. So this is fantastic, and we would like to do much more of this.
Well, baie dankie and siyabonga kakhulu, Ambassador.
Nami ngiyabonga kakhulu. Baie dankie.
It was wonderful to have you this morning, Ambassador, the German ambassador to South Africa, Mr. Andreas Peschke.